The Red and the Black by Stendhal is a psychological and social novel that follows the intense inner journey, ambitions, contradictions, and tragic downfall of Julien Sorel, a young man from a humble background who dreams of greatness in a rigid and hierarchical French society. Julien is born in the small provincial town of Verrières as the son of a poor carpenter who despises him. Unlike his physically strong brothers, Julien is thin, intellectual, sensitive, and passionate. He idolizes Napoleon Bonaparte and dreams of rising above his class, achieving honor and recognition through either a military career, since that path has become nearly impossible in post-Napoleonic France. La Church. But Julien, the Red, symbolizes military glory and courage, while the Black represents the clerical career that offers security and upward mobility in the restored monarchy. Unable to pursue a military path, he chooses the church as the more strategic option. Julien's exceptional memory, notably his ability to recite the entire New Testament in Latin, attracts the attention of the local mayor, Monsieur de Rênal, who hires him as a tutor for his children. Julien enters the Rênal household with deep insecurity about his class background, but also with fierce ambition to prove himself superior to the aristocratic society that looks down on him. However, his presence soon awakens complex emotions in Madame de Rênal, the mayor's wife, who is gentle, innocent, and naive. She had never truly known love before, and Julien's presence stirs in her a mix of admiration, affection, and forbidden passion. Julien, though initially unaware of her feelings, soon becomes involved with her in a relationship that oscillates between affection, power, guilt, and emotional turmoil. Madame de Rênal's internal conflict is intense. She feels both maternal tenderness and romantic desire toward Julien, which confuses her deeply because she sees herself as a virtuous woman. Julien, on the other hand, views the affair as both a personal triumph and a test of his ability to navigate higher society. His pride pushes him to treat their relationship as a conquest in the manner of the romantic heroes he admires. Yet he gradually develops sincere feelings for Madame de Rênal. Their happiness, however, is short-lived. Servants and townspeople begin to suspect the relationship, and rumors spread. Julien's reputation and future become endangered. The situation escalates further when a jealous maid writes an anonymous letter to Monsieur de Rênal, exposing the affair. Although Madame de Rênal vehemently denies it, suspicion and scandal threaten Julien's position. To protect both Julien and herself, Monsieur de Rênal dismisses him under the guise of pursuing a higher religious education. Julien is then sent to the seminary at Besançon, where he confronts a new world filled with hypocrisy, fear, ambition, and manipulation. The seminary's strict environment seeks to crush individuality and enforce obedience. Julien quickly realizes that intelligence, independence, and talent are considered dangerous traits. His fellow students hate him for his knowledge of Latin and his ability to outshine them. The rector Abbé Frilair sees Julien's potential but also recognizes the envy he provokes. Julien's only true supporter is Abbé Péroud, a stern but sincere man who admires Julien's integrity and struggles to protect him from the jealousy around him. The seminary exposes Julien to the darker side of religious institutions, where ambition often disguises itself as piety. Julien, who had never been particularly religious, learns to pretend devotion to survive, which deepens his internal conflict. He despises hypocrisy, yet finds himself practicing it. When Abbé Péroud eventually resigns due to pressure from influential members of the clergy, he recommends Julien to the Marquise de la Mole, a powerful Parisian nobleman. Julien's life changes dramatically as he moves from provincial obscurity to the glittering, competitive, and politically charged environment of Parisian high society. Working as the Marquise's secretary, Julien gains insight into aristocratic customs and political machinations. He is intelligent, dutiful, and discreet, earning the respect of many, though others resent his rapid rise. Julien's ambition reignites as he sees the opportunity to climb even higher. In this new household, Julien meets Mathilde de la Mole, the Marquise's beautiful, intelligent, and unpredictable daughter. Mathilde is bored by the superficiality of aristocratic life and longs for passion, danger, and greatness. Julien's mysterious and proud demeanor fascinates her. As a woman raised among nobles who constantly flatter her, she is intrigued by someone who seems immune to her charm. Julien, aware of the enormous social gap between them, oscillates between passionate admiration, prideful restraint, and strategic coldness. Mathilde's attraction becomes an obsession, fueled by her desire to rebel against the expectations placed on her. Their relationship becomes a complex psychological duel, with both using manipulation, silence, passion, and pride to gain the upper hand. Eventually, Mathilde surrenders to her passion, confessing her love. Julien, though initially overwhelmed, also becomes deeply attached to her. Their relationship becomes intense and secretive, marked by emotional extremes. When Mathilde discovers she is pregnant, she bravely confesses everything to her father. The Marquise is furious at first, horrified by the idea of his daughter marrying a poor tutor. However, upon realizing that Mathilde's determination is unshakable and recognizing Julien's intelligence and potential, he reluctantly agrees to the marriage. To elevate Julien's status, he secures for him a noble title and a military commission, symbolically offering him the red career he had once dreamed of. Just when Julien's dreams seem within reach, tragedy strikes from an unexpected source. Madame de Rênal, manipulated by her confessor, writes a letter to the Marquis warning him that Julien is a social climber who uses seduction to advance his career. The letter describes Julien not as a virtuous or ambitious young man, but as a dangerous opportunist who had ruined her life. When Julien learns of this betrayal, he is consumed by a blind storm of rage and despair. He returns to Verrières, enters the church during the Sunday service, and shoots Madame de Rênal. She survives the attack, but Julien is arrested and thrown into prison. During the trial, Julien faces the full force of the rigid French class system. Although he is defended by talented lawyers, his status as a lower-class man who dared to rise threatens the established norms. The court, influenced by politics and social prejudice, condemns him to death. Julien's speech during the trial reflects his disillusionment with society. He openly criticizes the hypocrisy of the bourgeoisie and aristocracy, exposing how they persecute those who attempt to rise above their station. His honesty, though admirable, seals his fate. In prison, Julien experiences profound inner transformation. Madame de Rênal visits him regularly, forgiving him completely and revealing that she never stopped loving him. Julien realizes that she represents the pure, sincere love he had been too proud to fully accept. He regrets his ambitions, acknowledging that his desire for social ascent had drowned out the simple and genuine parts of his soul. With Mathilde, Julien feels a dramatic, consuming passion. With Madame de Rênal, he feels peace. This contrast torments him, forcing him to confront the conflicting aspects of his identity. Mathilde, for her part, remains devoted to Julien, dramatizing his plight as a grand romantic tragedy. Yet Julien grows increasingly detached from her, recognizing that her love is tied to pride and fascination rather than deep emotional truth. The more he sees Madame de Rênal's sincerity, the more he understands the emptiness of his social ambitions. His final days are marked by introspection, sorrow, acceptance, and rediscovered tenderness. Madame de Rênal dies 3 days after Julien's execution, heartbroken and unable to live without him. Mathilde honors Julien in her own theatrical way, burying his head in a remote family crypt, echoing the romantic heroes she admired. Julien's tragic end symbolizes the destructive clash between individual emotions and an oppressive society built on rigid hierarchy, hypocrisy, and inequality. The Red and the Black thus becomes not only the story of Julien Sorel but also a powerful critique of post-Napoleonic France, exposing the deep tensions between authenticity and ambition, passion and reason, love and pride, and the impossible dream of social mobility in a world that refuses to allow it.